College Cinephile. With me is Raven Nelson, and we are back with Dean Nolen, the head of acting and directing program in the School of Theater and Dance.
Yes.
I'm going to have that memorized by the end of the show.
Good.
Possibly.
A lot of another thing associated with actors is like the glamour, like what people will see in the movies. Oh, it's like just this glamorous thing, but there's also this like harsh reality behind it. What's the reality check of being an actor?
I don't know if it's such the harsh reality of being an actor is probably all of the rejection that we tend to experience. It's a challenge to be told no, in terms of putting in all the work that we put into for an audition. But a smart actor, an actor who is adjusted and understands the business and understands the process, gets to a point where they realize, I just go out and audition, that's my job. And if I get the work, that's even better. But our job as actors really is to audition, and audition well, be prepared, go in and have choices made and so on. The other harsh reality is that you could go for a few months without working. Sometimes you can go a couple of years without working. It depends on just what's happening in the business. There's not a lot that we as actors control other than the quality of our own work and our own instrument and what it is that we need to do to keep ourselves marketable and keep ourselves in the business, in the eyes of casting directors and folks who can give us auditions. As far as glamour, really the only glamour is the red carpet and the dinners or whatever that we think is glamorous. Whatever is glamorous is made up by the PR firms.
Or whatever the craft service had provided during that film set that day.
Well, that's not always glamorous. That can be treacherous.
In what way?
Well, it depends on your craft services company. If they're really good, that's great. Sometimes you're on a low budget and you've got Twinkies. So okay. But yeah, it's fine. You don't go there for the craft services. You go there to get the job done and to do our work. So that's not terribly glamorous. Sometimes being dragged through mud. If your character is tied to the back of a truck, you're being pulled behind a truck in the mud. If you don't have a stunt double on a low budget film, sometimes that might be you, and you've got to go slow, and it can be, listen. I would be a liar if I told you that what we do isn't fun, but there is a certain amount of heartbreak that can go along with it. There is a certain amount of really hard break a sweat kind of work that we go through, and that's what I love. That's what I think most all of us as actors love. So I guess it could be considered glamorous. There are glamorous aspects to it, but it can also be heartbreaking if you're not prepared for that rejection.
So how do actors deal with that rejection? Because you get told no way more than you get told yes, right?
Yes, yes. Some experience that. Yes, correct.
So how do you deal with getting told no over and over and being able to persevere through that and continue trying?
Well, you have to know inside, you have to have an understanding of your own talent. You have to be confident, not cocky, but we have to have an understanding that this is who we are and what we do, and that I can't live without this job. Now, at some point, you got to put food on the table and pay for your apartment or house and car payment. So you need to find a way to survive, but if you are an actor, you do that. You find ways to survive while still pursuing that goal of working as an actor, and for some that is success. For some that's making it. Others, they have to be a lead in a major Hollywood motion picture. I had one actor come up to me and say, I just want to win an Oscar. Well, okay. But there's a lot of work that goes into that process. So I think confidence is probably the most important part, and support, but also a healthy emotional life. You get into this business, it is not for the faint of spirit. You hear people talk about that. You do have to have a strong spirit, a strong desire, a need to do what we do. And it's the most wonderful if it is who you are and what you do, if it's all you can do, it's a wonderful experience. And you find ways. We find ways to work. Even creating your own work is important.
You mentioned the lull period. Like, what would an actor be doing in in those large gaps between acting roles?
Often temp work. If you're in New York or Los Angeles, temporary work is good.
Like, for those that don't know, what would be temp work? For an
Temping
actor?
would be, for instance, in Los Angeles, a lot of the studios need temp work, folks to come in and answer the phone. Sometimes you could be paid 16 to 18, maybe $20 an hour to do that, or to type letters, just administrative work. I worked for a little while for Disney Home Video, Buena Vista Home Video in the Valley in Van Nuys. No, Burbank. And I worked for several months at a time on a temporary basis. And if I needed to go away, I would end that job, and then they liked me well enough that they would bring me back when I was available again. So it really is a matter of making our own way, making our own path, and finding ways that we can. A lot of actors wait tables, of course, and bartend. It is a lot of doing what you can to survive.
So let's just talk about what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Because like last time, in an unaired episode of the College Cinephile, which hopefully Raven will get onto that.
For a movie.
Oh, okay. Call me out, why don't you?
I really liked the interview. So you were doing a voiceover last time you were here with us. So what are you doing now?
Well, I'm developing a new play in New York called actually the new title is Dropping Gumballs on Luke Wilson. It's a very funny play written by a playwright named Rob Ackerman, who is the first playwright that I worked with. I did a new play of his in New York off Broadway many years ago, and that play entitled Tabletop was a big success, and it was moved to a commercial run in New York, which is great. And so a lot of that team, that artistic team and the creative team has gotten back together, and we're developing a new play that we hope will be produced and should be produced, I believe, in the next year and a half back in New York by the same theater company that produced us before, the same producing artistic director. So that is happening. I continue to direct and was invited to do a production in Dallas, but I can't do it this summer because I'll be in New York workshopping this play. So we keep our feet in the fire, keep our feet in the water, rather. Fire, water, yeah, about the same in terms of intensity. So it is a matter of not stopping. It's a matter of always pushing forward, never letting yourself sit back. This business in particular, you have to keep moving forward. So I'm a teaching artist, and I feel super fortunate to be able to work with students and impart whatever knowledge I might have about this industry and about this craft on a younger generation or younger generations of artists, and engage them in ways that are important and inspiring, hopefully, and give them an idea of exactly what's ahead of them.
What experience do you think you learned the most from that improved your acting skill the most, be it another teacher, an acting role, or even just watching somebody else?
Well, certainly watching other actors is a huge training ground. Watching films and going to the theater in New York, watching craft and absorbing what it is that you see and experience, and then finding a way to imitate or develop that same sort of work in your own bag of tricks, if you will.
But what experience do you think you personally learned, like in your life? What do you think was the most developmental?
Oh, for sure, for me, the most developmental experience I have had in my career was graduate school at the Yale School of Drama. And that was 3 years of intensive doing nothing but my craft, voice, speech, movement, singing, and literally working in productions constantly, taking acting classes 5 days a week with a master teacher by the name of Earl Gister, who changed my life. And my classmates changed my life. And those around me in other years of their development and training changed my life. We all learn from each other. There is an inspirational sense of ensemble when really excited artists, inspired artists come together. It's one of the most positive, most uplifting experiences I've ever had in my life. And I worked my butt off. It was, I'd like to say that actors have to break a sweat. Madison will tell you that. It is, I will say that forever. Breaking a sweat is what we have to do. And that's literal and metaphorically speaking. We have to work hard. We have to push ourselves. It is more than just acting. It is a full-bodied experience. We have to be able to personalize, which is something I began to understand more in graduate school. And that's something that we talk about here in our training program, in our undergraduate acting program and directing programs. Yeah, it's good, honest work, and it's very exciting. And if it's the only thing you can do with your life, there's nothing better. Nothing better.
I think that's a good way to end it off. So thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
It's been a huge pleasure. When we come back, we'll have more College Cinephile.